This conference will now be recorded.
But then again, next time, when I was working, I mean, they can have oh, yeah. I didn't have great things. But they were going to stay on. I didn't get a lease or get right. Yeah. Well, I didn't get a lease or right. Who did get it?
We'll get paid all that.
One story, you know, I was like, I mean, it may have turned into a, you know, and I'm sure really. They're very passionate.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bladen County Commissioners meeting Monday, April 4th, 2022. And at this time, we'd like to thank all the guests for coming this evening and visitors. And we'd like to recognize and call on Mr. Carlton Brown from Briar Branch Baptist Church for prayer. And following that, Mr. Martin, if you would lead us in the pledge, please. All right.
Let's pray. Dear God, our Heavenly Father, Lord, as we're here to conduct your business here for the county, Lord, let us always be mindful that you are God and above you there is no other. Lord, we just lift this meeting up to you that it will be in accordance to your will and the betterment of our county, Lord, as we move forward. And just thank you for it all. Lord, bless each cabinet member as they do the duties they do in their offices, that they will be a blessing and an inspiration of others of how we should live as people in this county. Lord, thank you for it all in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Brown, if you would come up a moment, please. I'm not going to put you on the spot. I just want to give you a county pin. I mean, you look at me like, on behalf of the commissioners, like one of our late friends.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pastor.
Right there. Thank you.
I trust everyone is saying the consent line. I get a motion?
Motion they can get free.
Got a motion, Mr. Chairman, second. Second, Mr. Gillespie. Other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you so much. Tonight, recognizing special recognition, we ask Ms. Sheila Murphy, Child Supervisor, Berkeley with the Child Supervisor Program, and to come forth at this time. And Commissioners, will y'all come down with me, please? And Madam Clerk, I'm gonna get you to read the conference thing.
Whereas our children represent our greatest hope for the future, and Bladen County remains steadfast in its commitment to the safety and security of our children, families, and communities. And whereas every child is entitled to be loved, cared for, nurtured, and be free from verbal, sexual, emotional, and physical abuse and neglect. And whereas it is the responsibility of every adult who comes in contact with a child to protect that child's inalienable right to a safe and nurturing childhood. And whereas Bladen County has dedicated individuals and organizations who work daily to counter the problem of child maltreatment and to help parents obtain the assistance they need. And whereas our communities are stronger when all citizens become aware of child maltreatment prevention and become involved in supporting parents to raise their children in a safe and nurturing environment. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among families, social service agencies, schools, religious and civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas all citizens, community agencies, faith organizations, businesses will work to increase their efforts to support families. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Bladen County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims the month of April 2022 to be Child Abuse Prevention Month. The Bladen County Board of Commissioners commends this observation during April and to the citizens of Bladen County.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. For the commissioners, I can't think of any program in our county that's any more important than the one that you do and the services that y'all provide. We appreciate you. We appreciate everything you do. Our children are our future, and we thank you so much for taking care and looking after the future of our kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. How you doing? Thank you.
All right.
Everything you do. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
God bless you for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you again, Ms. Burke. Individual delegation. Anyone here tonight? Madam Clerk? No one? Madam Benches, due commissioners, I'd like to start tonight by one thing on the county news, the National Association of the Counties, County Commissioners. When you see the sheriff or any of his staff, please give them a pat on the back. Made the national magazine on our little pickup, and that's an honor, and I know we're all grateful for it. But they need to hear from all of us how much we appreciate this program. And again, please let them know that. Anyone else? Yes, sir, Mr. Gillespie.
Mr. Chairman, I had two citizens call me one from White Oak and one from Lisbon about the convenience sites on the weekends. They have nowhere to put their brown goods most of the time, and sometimes nowhere to put their trash. They've been turned away for about 2 weeks, according to the two gentlemen I talked with. So we need to look into that, find out what's going on, why they're not being taken care of on the weekends. It's mainly been the weekends. One guy said it was during the week, that he was turned away from the White Oak site, went to the site on 53, and it was the same thing. So our sites are not getting taken care of on the weekend. And also there's a concern of, do we allow hunting on county property? Well, there's someone hunting on county property, and there's a tree stand on county property, and so we need to address that issue. The landowner beside the county's property has caught the person in there on the tree stand hunting. So we need to address that. Out near the landfill. Out near the landfill.
Check on both of those issues, please.
And something to that one. I brought it up a couple of weeks ago at last month's meeting because they were not picking up trash early enough. They're being full. I don't know, is there a shortage of drivers or something?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any idea of when we did get someone?
We actually have a person who's been out for an extended period of time.
Right.
On workers' comp.
Right.
And we're hoping that that's going to be resolved here in the very near future. If not, we may be coming back to the board to ask you to create a new position to fill that. And then if that person doesn't come back, then we wouldn't fill that position.
Okay.
So we've just had recent conversations about that.
Okay. And I
But
think
that really has been a real burden.
yeah, because we can't eat this. I mean, it's tough for them to out there.
And then one, I don't know about, whatever, but I do know that one day this past week, the kids going to speak to you about this issue in a minute, but you remember the loader that was discussed?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We had an issue with I think it was a clogged fuel line, or an air fuel filter or something here one day this past week, week before last. And so they were down for a period of time, so that just exacerbated the problem.
That's why they weren't picking up then. I got you. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? If not, County Government Month, Ms. Sheila Nance, Library Director and Public Information. Come up, please, ma'am. Nice to have you tonight.
Thank you very much. I think you all have the proclamation before you. Do I need to read that, or can they look at, would you like me to read it, or?
Read it so our guests.
Okay. All right. All right, this is National County Government Month, the proclamation, if you've all got that in your packet. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties, parishes, and boroughs, serving more than 315 million Americans, provide essential services to create healthy, safe, and vibrant communities. And whereas counties provide public health services, administer justice, keep communities safe, foster economic opportunities, and much more. And whereas Bladen and all counties take pride in our responsibility to protect and enhance the health, well-being, and safety of our residents in efficient and cost-effective ways. And whereas under the leadership of National Association of Counties President Larry Johnson, NACO is demonstrating how counties thrive, especially in supporting residents and businesses during the coronavirus pandemic. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the country to elevate awareness of county responsibilities, programs, and services. And whereas Bladen County and the departments therein are committed to serving its residents in lifelong endeavors for growth, health, and safety. Okay, and then that resolution statement would be from Chairman Ray Britt. He declares, or as Bladen County Board of Commissioners Chairman, do hereby proclaim April 2022 as National County Government Month and encourage all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to participate in county government celebration activities. And in your packet as well, you have a press release, a news release, just declaring it County Government Month as well, or just announcing that. And what our intention is with this is to just raise awareness about the programs and services that are offered in the county and all of the programs and departments within the county. Particularly, one thing we're interested in is giving some material to our school students, not just public schools, but our private schools, Paul R. Brown, Emerald. Their third grade curriculum deals particularly with local government, and these little packets, and you have a link to it, so I don't know if you see it, but there's an adorable packet that has some activities in it. I have it here, I'm just going to hold it up. But there are several pages of little activities, mazes, vocabulary, all kinds of stuff that they can do to learn about the county government. There's even a place where they can draw their own county seal, Bladen County seal. So I thought that was really neat. So we're going to get that distributed, and then I'm going to highlight and spotlight all that the county departments do. I'm going to use our local media outlets, Bladen Journal, Bladen Online. Then, of course, we're going to blast social media and just day by day spotlight different departments. So, you know, lots of times people just don't know what we have to offer, so we're going to tell them. That's what we're doing. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Vick. Can we make a contest out of the county seal?
You know, that's a good idea. There was an option when I was reading this material, I talked to Greg about it, an art contest, but we could definitely do that with the county seal.
We can bring the kids back in here and we could recognize them or not, and that would be good PR.
I love that. Absolutely. Let's do it.
And I agree with that, and I think the county, NACO did that, and they spotlighted those kids on a presentation during the set. So that was really nice. So that would be a great idea.
I love that idea. That's great.
And North Carolina probably recognized more than any other state.
They did.
But we thank you and we appreciate everything you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheila.
General Service, Mr. Kip McCleary.
Good evening, and thank you for your time. In the last presentation I made to you, we discussed the need to replace the transfer station loader. That machine is aged out. We're looking at several $1,000s in repairs to keep it operational. As Mr. Martin shared earlier, we went down about half a day last week with the machine. It's just old. And we have presented to you our options. If we wait until July 1 to place an order, we may not get a machine until sometime early next year. That's just what the companies are telling us. But John Deere has offered to put one that is currently being manufactured, put a mark on it for us, identify the machine to us, and even presented us with a sales order totaling $238,000 before tax, $254,000 with tax. And they're telling us if we get the information back to them right away, we could possibly have that machine here around the 1st of July to middle of July. I'm requesting that the board consider taking this action.
Second. Got a motion by Mr. Peterson. We got a second by Mr. Hester. Any further discussion?
I got it off the walkway. Did we look at leasing, or they don't lease stuff like this? Lease stuff like this. It's not for solid waste use. It's too abusive on the machine. I thought about it. Should ask last time. We have rented to get us by in the past, but companies don't like dealing with us on that.
All in favor, say aye.
I was gonna ask him another question about some other topic. Yeah, all right.
Let's get this one out of the way. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
No, the question that I wanted to bring up, I've heard them expressing concerns about stations. And I've heard quite a few concerns about stations too. Do we need to reassess whether or not we have enough stations? Do we need to assess how much trash is coming in? Because a lot of times I go down to the dumpster here in town. This thing is so full, you can't get stuff in it. And I'm just wondering, do we need to reassess what we're doing and maybe increasing some kind, whether staffing or another site? What do we need to do to accommodate some of this stuff? Or it's getting to be where, you hear a whole lot going on about it.
Right. Two things have been our problem since the COVID. One, the trucking company that we lease with, Hilco, has had problems keeping drivers. That was one of our problems last week. In addition to the loader being down the day before, the transfer station literally was backed up because we couldn't keep trucks coming in and going out. I've had several conversations with Hilco, and Jonathan always responds positively and puts people on it. But along with us, they serve several other counties too. So they've had trouble filling their backlog of loss of employees to keep the trucks on the road for us. And they promise they'll do their very best to keep things moving. But when we get backed up and can't get it out, then that puts a damper on everything else that we have operational. So it's all about how much we can move out of that transfer station and keep it going. They turned around last week, put 4 trucks there that afternoon, and that caught us up. We have very little to start out with next morning. So those are things that we've talked about and worked on. But as Mr. Martin shared, we've been down an employee for quite a while, one of our own truck drivers, and that puts an extra burden on the 3, one of which is also our transfer station mechanic, him driving the truck every day to help the other 2 out. And then one of those has been out with COVID. Well, 2 of those have been out with COVID themselves. So we've reached out to other contractors here. I have. Talking to various contractors who have truck drivers, and 2 have responded and sent us truck drivers to help out. But those are sporadic and hit and miss with us. These guys drive dump trucks to haul stone and rock and sand and that kind of stuff, and they'll come help us for a day, but they can't stay. So we've done everything we can to pinch hit. In fact, we have a position advertised right now on the county website for a part-time truck driver, but that hasn't been fruitful. No one wants to come to work here as a part-time driver for what we're offering to pay with no benefits or anything. And that was offered to see if we could just subsidize until this employee who's on workers' comp could come back.
Can we go ahead and just make that a full-time advertisement? Is that possible? Would that help you in?
It doesn't, I think.
Mr. Martin and I discussed this today, is whether or not to open a full-time position and bring it before you guys for approval next
Mr.
week.
Martin and I have been talking about this for the last couple of meetings. I've got the calls too, and Mr. Martin.
We
and I have been talking
understand
about-
there's,
He's looking at the legal ramifications of what we can.
well,
and can't
what I
do.
was just thinking is, I don't know that there's a I think it may be prudent to go ahead with the advertisement. We understand that April 20th, I think, that's it, we may know something a little more. But that way, we won't have to wait until April 20th to decide how to move forward. Then if we find out that we don't need to fill the position, then we would know that. If not, we could fill it and then we wouldn't fill up.
The question,
There's still, that particular situation is still in limbo, so. But it would just help expedite things. I think if you all were in favor of that.
I think we should do it.
The concern I was looking at is trying to keep drivers that actually move this stuff, just like Hillco is having a difficult time, trying to keep drivers moving. Right now, it's a severe shortage of drivers nationwide.
sure.
Are we being competitive enough to get drivers to come in? That's the next question. What are we gonna be paying these guys to come in and handle drivers these trucks? Because they won't want to do it for, when they make it $14.85, they make $15 an hour.
So, you're right. Market is a problem for us. Competing in market is a problem, and it has been for most every government, is what we can offer with our salaries and benefits that competes in the marketplace with what contractors and on-the-road truckers can provide. It's difficult, no doubt. But there are a few people out there who would be willing to do it, but the ones I've talked to won't, because it's been a part-time position. So it would be helpful if you wish to take that action to approve us going ahead with a full-time until this gentleman advertised.
Raise the board.
Make some move.
Got a motion by Danny,
I second.
got a second by Mr.
Sit on the
Cognell.
table.
Dr. Ellis, I apologize.
Gotta sit on the table.
We're not, can we clarify?
Yes, sir.
This is my understanding. You're authorizing us to proceed with the advertisement. We would
That's
come back to you before we would
Yeah.
take any action.
That's
to fill
right.
the position we're asking for.
Yeah, correct. That's what the motion.
Make a motion for advertisement.
Right, we got a motion
I'll
by
second.
Dr. Ellis, second by Mr. Cogdell. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Emergency Medical Services, David Howe. Director.
Good afternoon. We wanted to give you an update on the SAMHSA grant we just closed out. We had a grant from SAMHSA which focused on rural EMS training programs and training for EMS. We were awarded the grant in September of 2020. It ended August 2021, but we did get an extension for 6 months, so it did finally end February 28, 2022. Out of this grant, we had 35 continuing education and advanced training topics that were provided to our staff. 63 classes total, over 350 hours of training was provided to our folks through this grant. Some of the highlights from the training included behavioral health training, which allowed us as a department to implement more advanced behavioral protocols than what we used to have, and also to focus on alternate destinations and more training on verbal de-escalation versus sedation of patients for behavioral issues, which I found that to be a very good positive for us. Also, we focused on in-service training for our new equipment. We got the other year cardiac monitors and the autopulse devices, which did result in several patients with positive outcomes. Through this training, I don't feel like that they would have had that knowledge level without it. So I think that was an actual plus there also from that. Also, we were able to conduct 2 actual live scenario exercises. That the first one was a simulated mass casualty trauma in a rural setting. What we did, we took Camp McNeil and we used it, and we focused just on training our folks with limited resources in trauma, and it gave them exposure to the area, because potentially there's anywhere from 500 to 2,000 scouts out there, am I correct? Not more. So we did that also with it. We also partnered with BCC and did some training out there too, some mass casualty and EMS training with them and the EMS classes out there from this funding. Also, this grant did fund some equipment for training too. It fund some advanced life support training mannequins, some airway training mannequins. It provided a smart board that we currently use at this time. The EMS building, we would not have been able to afford without it. And we're able to use it for advisory board meetings, plus training activities also. So we have wrapped it up. I think Lisa's finishing up the financial reports on it, and the final closeout report I have, and Mr. Martin will be glad to share it with you if you have it.
Maybe I think it's better.
Yeah. Any questions?
Hey, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. I got a question, and that it's not even concerning the subject that you're on, but I thought maybe I'll address this with you. I received a call about a week ago, since our last meeting, and it was regarding a dialysis patient in the Kelly area. He said that, the person that called me said that EMS had transported him to Wilmington, but lately they wouldn't transport him to Wilmington. So what I tried to do is explain what I thought was the reason for that. And I told them that a lot of times we look at the personnel and the available trucks in the county based on what I know about EMS and what I was involved in. And I told them that sometimes you can't go outside when the trucks are limited. Maybe you got 2 or 3 trucks already going out the county. So I explained that to them. But then he was really concerned because he said all his doctors in Wilmington, and they took him there. Then I went over it again about the personnel and the available trucks. Then he said maybe the county needs to put out a EMS public notice about what I just said. And I want to share that with you.
There is some, which Dr. Ellis is probably aware of it too, with Medicare guidelines, as we talked about before, the closest appropriate destination, that's where it gets kind of tricky sometimes. What's the closest appropriate destination for that emergency at that time? And that's where it gets tricky, because in fact, I was on call, I think it was Wednesday, down in that area, and the gentleman's condition warranted New Hanover because of the specialty that it offers.
But I try to take care of the problem, but I wanted to let you know that it did occur, and that the only thing he was worried about, maybe the county need to put out EMS public notice about transport.
First time I asked you, with your staffing level, are you still having difficulty with staffing, or you're staffing?
Mr. Cogdell, to be honest, it's a statewide issue across the board, to be honest.
Well, at one time, we was talking about our salary wasn't up to other places that was working. And I'm trying to figure out, and I'm just gonna ask the question, if you have difficulty with your staff, kids having difficult kids, would it be possible for us to give some kind of, through this ARP money, a one-time bonus incentive to try and get some of you guys to come in here? Is that fund available to assist you guys with that?
I can speak to some of the other counties. I've noticed Wake County is now offering, what was it, $7,000 bonus for EMS personnel. Medic out of Charlotte's offering a $6,000 bonus to try to recruit EMS personnel currently. Brunswick County is doing some things too on the other side, dealing with 401k matches, and they're looking at some things, some studies with some shift differentials and things like that.
That's the reason I brought it up. I heard the same thing. Some other counties are using that ARP money as a resource because it's affected by the pandemic, to get people back on staff and get staffing. And I was wondering, could we
As far as the legal,
some of that money for that purpose, like the health care, where you give a bonus or something to get somebody with CDL?
My response to that is you got to be very careful, because you got the health department, everybody else, you got to get bonuses too.
Well, I'm talking about where you have a shortage.
They got shortage.
But still, these guys back here just seems like it's 100.
Life support.
Life support. These guys, we got people hollering about trash.
I just seen it.
And you look at the number of employees, how much money you talking about out of that ARP money? You gave everybody a bonus of some kind. This is an incentive for them to come to work, get some employees on staff.
That would help you with it. You would turn it down.
I can just say from my knowledge, what I have seen in the last year, it's not a Bladen County, it's a state issue. It's across the state, multiple counties, even hospital-based systems are seeing EMS issues.
No, honey,
Mr.
wait,
Cameron, Mr. Cameron, then you go.
I noticed in Southport today, McDonald's is offering $1,000 sign on bonus. Anyway,
Yeah.
is there, on these other counties, are they requiring like a certain length of contract or something?
Some are, I think Wake is requiring a contract if you do take a bonus with them. I think, was it Cape Fear offering a bonus too?
It was 2 years.
Yeah.
If you got a bonus.
We seem to be a stepping stone a lot of times, so we just take to incentivize somebody and a year later they're gone and took our money with them.
But really, Ian,
Are you short, what, 2 drivers or 2 part-time drivers, and how many people you
We're
mentioned?
short 5 full-time paramedics right now.
5 short, I mean, okay. So to me, that makes a difference.
So that's what I'll try. I'll think of the same way you were.
And we've posted multiple times. You can ask Ty Shell, and we never get any applications.
Well, your car, I mean,
And
your.
we've
your
posted on
offer is kind
Facebook.
of,
Yeah.
Your pay is.
Yeah.
Kind of low.
The art money, I would say the art money, use that for an incentive, just to get them to come in on some type of arrangement. We got the money sitting, there's some use for that purpose.
But again, you know, looking at several things, and I'll speak some things I have read and have actually been told, we're losing a lot of medics, not only here, but across a lot of EMS systems because they're moving either nursing school for better opportunities. I lost one paramedic to an ortho clinic.
Okay.
Because the ortho clinic is going to pay more for the paramedic to work in their clinic than what they're making, you know, in agencies. And we're not the only ones. In Wake County, they're seeing the same problem. They're losing them to dentist's office, ortho clinics, and emergency rooms.
The only thing I was gonna say, when I was involved in EMS, it seemed like to me, Bladen was a training ground. People really get the experience and then they go because of the salaries that we offer. So we really need to look at, I think we've got a study coming up on salaries and everything.
We just had one about 4 years ago. We just completed one.
We don't have one coming up. I thought we had one coming up so we could look at our employee salaries and everything. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I know morale is a big deal. And just thinking through, if I've been an employee for a long time, been faithful, and I'm thinking, man, I'm struggling to put food on my table, but we're going to give an incentive for a new employee. And I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But what does that do to affect the morale of people who've been working the whole time? Or think, man, I ain't got 7
Yeah,
grand.
you've got to figure a way that's fair across the board. You know, and I can see that issue.
Just a couple things. WCT Channel 6 has got New Hanover County Special Investigation. They're talking about firefighters and EMS in New Hanover County. Thursday night, 6 o'clock. So our salary's not that far off. I mean, really is. I mean, it might be from Brunswick, but ain't nobody can compete with Brunswick. But like Robinson, I think we're pretty close.
Actually, no.
Was it changed for one time?
We were one time. They've increased since that 4-year period.
They trying to keep their employees.
Yeah, they've increased.
We need to see the pay study, because we did our pay study, we were right there with them.
Yeah, they've
We
increased.
give increases, pay increases since then too.
Yeah, but they've had multiple.
COVID changed a lot.
Yeah, it did. That, and they're going to the same rule we have to do for Bladen for the 40 hours for the EMS staff.
I'm telling you, these people will jump ship for 10 years overtime.
Well,
I think that's gonna play a factor.
the only thing I'm saying to do it is this a one-time thing. It's not like they do it every day, every month. Just when new guys coming in, you just give them incentive. Like you said, it's hard to give an incentive. Like you're working hard. You can't destroy the whole workforce by giving new employees incentive, and you got people in here for 20 years and they give them nothing. And what we need to see is the pay, the county's pay scales. Well, I mean, I was under the impression it was pretty close. So, Greg, will you get us that pay scale for all the counties to see how far we are?
You know how far it all is. I mean, just as a.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they've had several increases, and one of them was a substantial increase.
I know.
what county was that?
Robinson.
$14.38 for a truck driver is not gonna work. I know that.
I think it's important, and this is not against you, Mr. Howard, but when we see this going on, and it's been going on like that for about 4 years, we need to take this in consideration from our supervisors and all that know this. Please bring this to our attention or to the county manager so he can get it to us so we can act on it. Because we do want people, and we want people to be happy to work in our county.
And I think another thing too, and I can't speak for the nurses, well, I can speak for one that's at home, okay? A lot of them that's been in the field 10, 15 years, they just went through a pandemic. They were stretched thin. You've seen a lot of bad calls and bad situations, and I'm gonna be honest, a lot of them just have left to pursue other things. You know, and I think that's affected it across the state level too.
But I like to say this on behalf of the commissioners, and I'm pretty sure we'd all agree with this, and I feel confident saying it. With all the training and exercise that you just told us a few moments ago, you went through with the college and all, and with me being on the college board representing these commissioners, I would hope you let the staff know, we know they're tired from what this pandemic has caused. They've been on a lot of stress, a lot of hours, and tired. And to go in above and beyond and do what y'all just done, I commend you for it, and please let them know we thank them.
Sure.
You know, they've been very tired, going through it all.
I really didn't know that it was that far apart.
Yeah, it's just
I mean, we struggle to get pay raises every year. We struggle to try to get pay raises. I thought we've been pretty competitive.
Did 5% last year.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
We're looking.
5%.
Would it be possible for us to have Mr. Martin to bring us in the skills for these two departments with maintenance and subsurface to bring in so we take a look at where we get on? I request all the departments. Well, however you want to do it, just bring it in. I'm just saying, you got health department sitting there worrying about where they're gonna get their nurses and stuff like that also. That's Dr. Duncan. Sometimes you have to do some serious thing. I'm not just saying what I'm here. Everything at one time, John. You don't have money to do everything at one time.
Let's move forward. Emergency service, Mr. Nathan Dow.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Item A under my section, consider adopting the County of Bladen Disaster Recovery Plan. I hope you had the pleasure of reading that 92-page document.
Second, Mr. Bullock, seconded by Mr. Mark Gillespie. Any further discussion?
Now, I just have one question.
Yes,
Is it
ma'am.
complete?
Ma'am?
Is it complete or some spots need?
It's complete. We have to go back and update it because what it does is it spells out each department head or position's role after a Hurricane Florence or any other kind of disaster we have.
Now, is the first thing ever had one?
We've had one, but it's been a working document, but this is the first time it's been
Adopted.
adopted.
Okay. Thanks.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? B, sir.
Next item, consider adopting a Bladen County Ingestion Pathway Emergency Planning Zone, which is short as IPZ. Pretty much what this spells out, every 8 years, New Hanover or Brunswick nuclear site, we have to get tested. The eastern end of the county, East Arcadia, Kelly area, on close this way, we are in the 50-mile radius of Brunswick nuclear plant. We will have an exercise on this July 27th with all the other surrounding counties in Sampson County. This is a requirement by the federal government and the state. 50-page document. This pretty much spells out how we'll notify citizens, what steps we got to take, Dr. Duncan's role, Becky's role, county manager's role, everything, because it affects livestock, ground, crops, waterways, everything in our IPZ camp.
Second. Motion by Dr. Montgomery, second by Mr. Hester. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Item C, consider approving a funding agreement and mutual aid agreement with Buckhead Fire Department. This is very similar to this is the southern portion of the East Arcadia, former East Arcadia Fire District. I think there was a map attached to this contract too. Very similar to the contract we done with Acme Delco Regalwood Fire Department for the northern part of that district. Just the funding figures are a little bit different.
Motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Hester, second by Dr. Montgomery. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Last, we received a $12,000 grant from the state to perform a search and rescue exercise in Bladen County. We sent out bids for that to four different companies that perform these kind of exercises. We received 3 back. You can see they were very close, with Crisis Tech being the lowest bid. We're working with Jacob J. out at the Boy Scout camp to do that search out there. It's going to be a pretty extensive thing in preparation for, we will have the statewide SAR exercise here next year, which will be a whole lot larger event. But this is kind of a practice run, and they gave us a grant to do it.
Motion to approve. Motion, Mr. Hester, second, from Mr. Cameron McGill. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Information technologist, Robin Hewitt.
I have received bids from 3 companies to redo our copier fleet. The bid asked for new and or refurbished. The only company that sent back refurbished, and just to let you know, we're on refurbished machines now. We've been on it for 5 years. The only one that came back was Sistel with the refurbished fleet. Nobody can get the supplies. The information that I have up here and is in the packet, I used the year 2020 to get the figures based upon the dollar amount or penny amounts that they put in. So requesting your guidance on movement on this.
This is something that's got to be done tonight.
Not necessarily. The timeline that I've put out for the actual replacement of the machines is the beginning of the next fiscal year. But we have to give them enough time to get them together and package them and reset them and things like that. And I'd let them know that it could possibly go into the next session.
On that price, excuse me just a minute, on that price, that's 2020 price? I mean, what's the current price?
The top one is the 2020 price. That's what we actually paid. And then I took that to compare what it would be if we had that same volume for the new contracts.
With that cost of things adjusting, we'll see any cost increase in what you're getting ready to do?
Given the same amount of 2020, the new Sistel refurbished would be about $1,000 more countywide for the whole year.
The question I'm asking, if we don't decide on it tonight, are you worried about that case price going up?
Now, we're on a month-to-month with Sistel right now.
Please wait until you be recognized. Speak, Dr. McGowan.
Yeah, on the refurbished, you're saying you have that now for the last 5 years. And
we have been on refurbished.
And you feel comfortable with refurbished?
I refurbish all of
the
computers. I mean,
and how many, you say in the fleet, how many we're talking about?
I think it was about 61. Yeah, it was 61.
Throughout the,
there was another one that had a destruction clause.
Okay.
For HIPAA and PHI, we had to destroy the hard drives.
But does it concern you now that there's only one company offering refurbished?
No.
Question of why?
Not necessarily. We've been, like I said, we've actually been with Sistel, and they've been really good up until this last, once we hit this month-to-month, and it wasn't them, and it wasn't because of the month-to-month, but the supplies for the actual machines, the machines that we were on 5 years ago, they're now so old that we can't get the parts. Right. And so they're Sistel's having to replace them with the newer fleet anyway.
This is probably coming from 30 years of being a Baptist preacher, a lot of meetings. But could we look at just asking folks to be a little more conscientious about making copies? I know it seems like, my goodness, we come in and and we got to make copies. That's all part. But with the digital age we have with emails and all the things, I mean, if you could cut that in half, you're talking about a lot of money, and we're trying to put more money in people's pockets and things. I don't know, but just a thought. I'm sure people are being cautious, but
the creation of the program in the beginning moved us away from printers, which was a substantial saving for the county. But in terms of printing, that's probably going to fall back to individual departments to, initiate some sort of paper saving.
I mean, that's feasible that we could just ask folks to be a little more conscientious.
I just have some questions. I understand refurbished, you might save about, what, $12,000, $10,000?
Exactly, it was about 12. Yes, ma'am.
Would you not do better with the new technology, with the newer one? No?
We're really not even using the capabilities of the machines we have now.
Oh, it makes sense then.
Yeah. And we have asked, that's part of the bid was, I asked for machines in certain locations. We didn't want to fill it up because it would raise the price, but I did ask for machines that had something that we don't normally do, and that's optically character recognition. And what that means is that if you scan something like this, it actually reads it, and it becomes an editable, and that's something we just, it's just the next generation for us.
Right.
It's something extra for us.
And it will be included. Will be, you'll have that capability?
It was in the request, so yeah, that's.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Excuse me, one more question.
This company that you're dealing with, can they assist you with technical issue online?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Because I know at our church, they watch the ink, how many copies we're making and everything, give us a summary of what's going on with the machine. So they do that for you?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good, great.
Thank you, Mr. Church. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Under advisory board, East Arcadia consider dissolving the advisory boards. Let's go through. Got a motion by Mr. Peterson. Second by Mr. Hester. Any further discussion? I'll make a comment in reference to that, because we have to now consider advisory boards for the other two departments that's filling in that. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Advisory board appointments, consideration of the April 18th, 2022 meeting, Bladenboro Rural Fire District Committee 2. Motion. No, this is the 18th. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I was trying to.
You trying to save us all?
Looking after your community. There you go. I just want to make you aware of, Bladenboro Rural Fire Department will be 2, Cape Fear River Assembly be 1, Carver Street 3, Clifftown Rural Fire District Committee 2, Southeastern Community Action Partnership Board Director 1.
Mr. Chair, are you going to have the other two ready for the 18th April meeting?
I think that's something that could be considered. Normally, we put it out a couple of weeks to give you time to work on, look at it.
Next month?
Yeah.
Next month.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Fire department.
Good question. Yes. The county manager, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to review the calendar with you for April and May. And point out that tomorrow, the 10 until 12, the Southeastern Partnership virtual meeting will take place. On Thursday at 12 noon, JCPC will have its monthly virtual meeting. On Monday, the 11th at 5:30, the Health and Human Services Advisory Committee meets at the Health Department. Also, the board has a special budget meeting. On Tuesday, the 12th at 10 a.m., there's a Coastal Horizons mobile integrated care unit ribbon cutting, and that will take place at the Cape Fear Farmers Market here in Elizabethtown. Also at 10:30 a.m., the Bladen County Water Conservation District awards lunch, 2022 awards luncheon takes place at the Cape Fear Winery. And at 12 noon, there's an Economic Development Commission meeting at the airport. Moving over to Friday, the 15th, county offices are closed in observance of the Good Friday and Easter holiday. Saturday, the 16th at 12 noon, there's a community prayer service here in the courthouse. The board meets on Monday, the 18th at 6:30. Thursday, the 21st, from 1 until 5, there's a blood drive in front of the courthouse. Saturday, the 30th, Bladen County Relay for Life event will take place at the Elizabethtown Middle School.
Mr. Brett, I would like to request that we move our April 11th meeting, special meeting. I found out, Mr. Cameron Gill can't be here, and I think it's very important for all commissioners to be present for that meeting. This is to kick off the budget. So I can make a motion or whatever you want to do, but. Where you got it? Is there a motion to change that, or can we decide on another day? What date? That's the one for the 11th. Okay.
Yes, sir, the Monday.
I don't have my calendar.
You know, it's gonna be at 7 o'clock, right?
The 13th, that's for some.
The question is, it was 11.
That's your calendar, Doc?
I know the 13th is a church night, but
Me early.
that
That
works
works.
forward here, better work with everyone.
What's wrong with the 14th, 7 o'clock?
Okay.
First, we got some.
You got anything?
Where's the 14th?
14.
Seven.
I've got a soccer game. Huh? I think you've got a soccer
14?
game. I'm not, it's not me. That's raw.
I apologize, y'all. Basically, every other week I'm gone, pretty
So
much.
what's the 19th look like? 19th good? If it is 19th.
I think I'm good.
I can motion move the April 11th meeting to April the 19th, 7 o'clock.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Peterson, the 19th of April, 7 o'clock, second by Mr. Bullock.
Look, I got one question. Is that good for Commissioner?
Everybody's good that day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you all so much. It means a lot.
Mr. Martin, that April the 18th meeting, might need us to change that to a better date. It's mine, your both birthday. I'm just messing with you. But we will be here. It's our birthday. So we don't mess with you.
Same birthday.
Mine's 23rd. Yeah, I know, but you.
I'm gonna leave the mountains early to get back.
I'm joking, but just making a point here.
I'm going trout fishing, but I'll come back early.
Bring fish back.
I'll leave on Sunday instead of Monday.
We can cook it right now.
Yeah.
And it's still got, can we tell the time? Are we still doing this?
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
Individual delegation wish to address the commissioners.
Oh, great.
Matter of interest to
Do
commissioners.
we want to do our
You can do, you finished doing
Oh,
great.
I'm sorry, Greg. Were you finished?
No. Would y'all rather do it with the time and this?
I thought, why we did it because of the health department meeting.
I agree. I mean,
Can we
7
do it
o'clock,
earlier?
you know.
I'm
About 6
okay.
o'clock.
It's 5 in the morning for me. I don't care.
We'll tell you what, do this, look at 5:30.
I make a motion, can we do 6 o'clock?
So I come in, 5:30. You make it 5:30?
What about him?
Oh,
I'm kind of like y'all, everything's fine for everybody, but you know, if we can come earlier, I'd rather do that instead of stay here till 10 o'clock at night. It's up to y'all, whatever y'all want. You know,
Can you do it 5:30?
I mean, 5:30 be fine.
Okay.
5:30.
And make a motion.
I'll make my motion to do 5:30.
Work all day, they come all
Make
night.
a motion to 5:30. Got a second? By Donald.
Also, you gonna amend your second? The 5:30?
Yes.
Okay.
Got a
Yeah,
second?
5:30.
All in favor, say aye. Thank you, 5:30.
Thank
So
you.
it's 5:30 on the 19th.
Moving over to May, I'll just kind of hit the unusual things.
That's good.
There's a blood drive on, you all know the wrong meeting on Monday. On Saturday the 7th, there's a 5th annual Bladen County Aim for a Cure ALS fundraiser at Allen Brothers Outdoors, hunting camp there.
And I say something there.
Yes, sir.
Our commissioners and citizens sitting out there, this ALS is affecting this county big time. If you can spare any money or you can go to this event, please go. I know 2 ladies in Bladenburg got it right now that's sick. And I know several people that's passed on from it, so I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, that's fine.
But like it was needed.
On Tuesday the 17th, from 9 until 1, there's a blood drive at the Bladen County Sheriff's Office. The weekend of beginning Friday the 20th through Saturday, the White Lake Water Festival will take place. Also, there's a community prayer service, 12 noon, courthouse lawn, Saturday the 21st. And then on the 30th, that Monday, county office will be closed. Memorial Day. Moving to item B, there was brief discussion, I know at the last meeting regarding the flexible work schedule for county employees. And we have had discussion, the department managers and division managers about this. We have a draft for your consideration, and it is we're proposing that it be for a 90-day trial period to provide an opportunity to see how things are going and come back to you for that. So,
Motion, Mr. McGill. Second by Mr. Hester. Mr. Peters.
Yeah, 1, 2.
Mr. Martin, if you said participants, is voluntary,
yes, sir.
are they gonna vote for it as a department, or, I mean, like if it's 3-2, they don't wanna do it, the other two don't get to do it, or how's that gonna work?
That we
Is
haven't
it-
had any
you mean-
conversation about that. I'm thinking it's voluntary in terms of.
Individuals, so
Yes, sir.
if some of them don't wanna do it as well
Yeah, a lot
as
of
good, but
people-
everybody's gonna get an opportunity if
It'd be
they
a
want to.
hardship, because they may have children, it might be a hardship. So
Okay.
they wouldn't want-
I just wanted to.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Mr. Conger, the thing I got on that flex pilot program is we had the flex system at one time.
They take time.
And we got in here and got discussing about that flex system where it was just causing so much confusion. Some people just want to take off one day and everybody vacating at the same time with that flex system with the health department. We got into a long drawn out discussion about how that flex plan was working and we did away with it. Because it was causing too much havoc with people leaving job site. And I'm saying, are we getting ready to create the same problem that we did away with?
This flex plan is totally different than that. This and here, everybody gets an opportunity. Before, everybody didn't have opportunity to flex.
But the only thing I remember,
I'm
we
just
had
saying,
a flex in one time. and they
Before,
were-
everybody didn't flex. This time, they got opportunity to flex.
Well, I want to make sure everybody is that it's fair.
One person deep, they get the opportunity.
Well,
to do
that's the thing. We recognize how unique each of our departments are. So we're gonna have to kind of see how things go in terms of, the feasibility and everything, with every single situation.
So the reason I'm saying we
That's
would
why
have
we're
a problem
doing
with
90-day
services,
trial.
right? We had services problems in one department where people said they were walking in on a Friday and everybody was gone on Friday, something, they were leaving out.
The problem we had was some people were fussing and raising sand at us because they didn't have the ability to flex. That's what I
I was
was.
gonna ask, what initiated
It
this?
was
That,
only at the health
at the
department.
state level?
It was,
I mean, what initiated the thought?
This was at the health department.
It
That's
was.
why I'm sketching it, because
But it was also because people could not do flex because they're one person deep, and that's not fair.
It
Them that
wasn't
they
right.
have.
We had a whole lot
They
of.
have two
They got the opportunity now.
Now they will, they get the last time either.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yes, sir, Mr.
I have one question. Does this, ruling pertain to management and supervisors too?
I don't know that they supervise, it may apply to supervisors. As far as department managers, that may be a unique thing, but I wouldn't think that would be by any means, any kind of,
So you're saying,
regular type.
department heads can flex too then?
Well, fortunately, we already have a provision for comp time. So if they have issues that they're dealing with or whatever, then they can take time off and use the comp time.
Okay, the reason I asked because with the federal, flex time, management couldn't flex.
You can.
That's why I asked.
My question with this is when you got a department that's short staffed, and you're saying everybody wants to
Feel
flex,
bad about it.
and you got someone like Dan or David or Kip back there, and he got to make a decision, say, hey, flex off not on the table, because I can't allow flex. And then you got people coming in fussing about they can't flex like everybody else, so you got guys that can't leave.
That's not what the policy says.
I want to see it then. Maybe
Well,
you
and
got.
They read it right there.
You
Well,
got-
and here's the thing.
I seen it, but I don't-
We just like you talked about Evergreen, we recognize that it's hard to capture every situation in, on this one sheet of paper. And that's the reason for the trial period, exactly.
Right, I'm gonna be straight right there, I have no problem.
He got 3 truck drivers here. They can't flex.
I read that, that ain't the solution to all the problems we're gonna have.
They're working long hours. Yeah, they can.
Well, remember this, if y'all would, so we don't have any confusion and illness. This is a trial period. At least then we can say, hey, we tried it, it worked or it didn't work. And in respect of our employees, we made an effort. Remember, we all work for the pleasure of all of us.
You give it to us, I appreciate it, we look at everything in. All right. Got it.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And then item C, I just wanted to let you all know that, I have spoken with Mr. Jimmy Monroe, the chairperson of the Arcadia Fire Department Board of Directors. And, he indicated that they have not signed the memorandum of understanding. They had some questions, and so we'll need to discuss our path forward on that here in the very.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Is that gonna be closed session? Okay.
Yes.
That's the near future. Okay.
Is that it, Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Individual delegations which to address commission. Matter of interest to commission.
I got one thing.
Yes, sir.
I'm sitting there thinking about, we're talking about bonuses and stuff. So, when you look, if you decide a dollar amount on the bonus, I want to know what that equals to increase in hourly wage. I mean, if you say a 5,000 bonus, that 5,000 bonus might not equal Robinson County's pay.
That'd be too, I mean, you could basically, just.
No, I want to know what hourly that brings that employee to, so if we need to decide if it's worth someone staying or not, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
You understand? I think that's important when we look at, if we do bonuses. I think about it some type of.
That's for existing, and you're trying to compare, in other words, you'd like to know that figure for existing, in other words.
Whatever the employee makes now, if it's a EMS worker, you give them 5,000, what does that equate to increased hourly rate?
Looking at the entire 12 months. Look at that.
$2.50 an hour over whatever the existing. Right. That's a low number.
Yeah.
But remember, that's just for that bonus.
That's
It's just for that 1 year.
That's right. So really got to do, if you're gonna require them to work 2 or 3 years, in the contract, that you do it for 2 or 3 years hourly rate, not just 1 year.
That's right.
Whatever the length of the contract is, if we decide. Well, you know, we got AR I just wanna look at the numbers and all, we do it that way. AR money appropriated over there to be spent, that we change all this from salaries to ARP money, change this up.
Can I get a motion to go into closed session?
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Cameron, give a second by Mr. Bullock. Consider ourselves going into closed session.
Think you need to take your.
This conference will now be recorded.
Time's going. I'll give you time. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion to adjourn? Yeah. Second. Well, we got to, never mind, that's right. In closed session, we had a discussion with our attorney, involving, the East Arcadia Volunteer Fire Department, Inc., and told our attorney to proceed with what our agreement was. Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Second, second by Mr. Bullock. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank y'all.